states, New York, California,
Wow.
Arizona.
That's great.
I'm impressed.
Okay, so I think what we're gonna do. Does everybody have the on the messages side that people can leave messages?
Yeah,
Yes.
the cat.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think if I'm gonna try that we can put questions into the messages, and then Dad can answer people's questions, and then
Or Mathew. Either.
yeah, whoever needs to. I'm just trying to figure out where our chat is. Got it. So when the questions go in there, then I'll record them, and then I'll take a look, and then Dad can answer. So feel free to type in a question on the side. I think that's where we'll try.
Montreal. Cool.
Christopher's here. There he is.
Hey, Christopher.
Hi.
You.
If you don't mind me taking the mic just for 1 second, I just wanted to say my deepest condolences for the passing of Joan, your mom and your wife. She's been a great advocate and a wonderful person to get to know. And we really appreciate the book she's left as a legacy.
Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Christopher. Okay, so
Oh, we got anything?
do you have any questions coming in at all from anybody?
I'm thinking of something.
Yes, I have a question.
Well, people can maybe ask them.
Yeah, or feel free to ask. 'Cause we're just trying to make sure people don't talk over everybody. Okay, so the first question we have is Nightshade vegetables included in the Best Bet diet?
Yeah, they are in moderation, and we realize that they might be a problem for some, and we always just say, give them a try, and if you find they cause some problems, then stop. I mean, I know they're in the more, that they take them out of the more restrictive AIP diet, which is very similar to ours, except it's a little more restrictive, and I respect that. So I think it's one of these things that's on the edge, and so it's a matter of how they fit for you. How do they feel for you? For some, they may be absolutely fine, and for others, definitely take them out. So it's, yeah.
Another one. Will the diet work for people with lupus?
I would say it would probably be a major help. I've known a few people who have tried it with lupus, and it has been a major help. That especially the milk proteins seem to be some tie into lupus for sure. But other things, I think that these various common autoimmune diseases have very similar environmental causal factors, and so what you're doing is trying to take out the things that cause the autoimmune reactions, and you're trying to add in the things that suppress any autoimmune reactions. So those should be very helpful for most common autoimmune diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis or lupus.
Okay, another one here. I've been on a DMT since January. How would you go about talking to a neurologist about getting off them?
I wouldn't bother talking to the neurologist about getting off them. I think these things have to be a personal thing, and I certainly wouldn't recommend going off until you were having totally no problems or symptoms for a minimum of half a year, if not a whole year. And then it's just give it a try. Find out what happens, but stay on the diet, and then that's what we've always told people. If you want to go off, give the diet a minimum of a year to establish you being on it so its effects are good.
Okay, did you ever have any allergy testing? If so, which one do you recommend? Yeah. You can answer that one.
Well, okay, that we do suggest allergy testing because allergenic foods can cause, your gut to be leaky and that kind of stuff. So you want to get out as many of the foods that cause immune reactions as you can. And the best ones seem to be the tests that do the antibodies that test the various foods against your blood to see what kind of the antibodies are created. So those are called the ELISA test. So it's a blood test that you have to submit a blood sample, and then they test the various foods against your blood to see which cause how many antibodies to be created.
Says, do you work out fasting? I think that one's for me.
That's definitely for you.
I have minimal amounts of food in the morning before I start my workout. Yeah, even just a banana and definitely a couple cups of coffee before that. And I don't really follow a strict fasting program, but there are certainly days that I'll go most of the day without eating, and then into the day. But Dad could probably talk about fasting.
Well, there is good science that says fasting is of value. That they've done studies, and both the fasting mimicking diet and fasting itself does really help with autoimmune stuff, and it's not surprising. So that is a strategy that you may want to give it a shot. I have to admit, I've never done it myself, so I really can't speak to it, but there is good science behind it.
Are tomatoes and tomato sauce allowed?
We do. Again, they're one of those on the edge ones. So we say in moderation, but once again, there are some people who can have problems. They do contain some lectins that can cause gut problems. So there's no doubt they are potential problems. No, we've tried with the Best Bet diet to keep it so a lot of people don't feel it's too restrictive, but I think it has to be modified to the individual. So if something like tomato sauce, you feel it, you feel more tired, more weak, then take it out for sure.
Says, can Matt give us an overview of what he eats on a daily basis and favorite meals? I mean, on the daily, like I said, very little for breakfast, sometimes a smoothie, and definitely almost always a huge salad for lunch. And by I mean huge, a lot of vegetables, as many as I can kind of get down with a little bit of protein. And that will take me all the way to dinner. And that's normally either fish, chicken, sometimes meat. And then again, as many vegetables as I can eat. And then that's normally where I'll have a rice or rice pasta, and then before bed either fruit or sometimes a gluten-free cereal if I'm starving, with dairy-free milk. That's kind of the daily, but most, like a lot of the recipes and things are in the cookbook, which again is free at direct-ms.org. An update on CCSVI. Most of the things I read seem to be quite contradictory, including Dr. Zamboni admitting that CCSVI is ineffective. Could you please elaborate on this?
Well, I would say Zamboni has not said it's ineffective. What is ineffective right now is the PTA, the opening up of the jugular veins with the angioplasty. For many people, there's no doubt that they get stenosed again, and if they do that, well, you've gone back to where you were. Now, for some people, somehow they're able to keep their veins open, and I've been impressed with some of the results of the people who have had it and been able to keep their veins open. They have definitely had some pretty good symptom relief. So right now, the trick is to try to find a treatment that's better than the angioplasty that will keep the veins open. Now, I haven't seen if they've been able to make any progress on that. So if you go for CCSVI, you got to see it's a major gamble, because you may be one of the lucky ones. You're able to keep your veins open, then I would suspect it would have significant value. Or you may spend your money and your time, and they just may restenote within a few months, and you're back to where you were. So, but to me, there's no doubt blocked veins are part of the MS process. The trick is, how do we get them open and have them stay open? And I haven't got the answer for that one.
Is coffee acceptable on the best bet diet? Yes.
Definitely.
Do you know that drug there?
No, I've seen Actar versus Solumedrol. I don't have it. I really can't make any statement on those drugs. So I don't know.
I was told once you pass the 25-year mark, you'll be okay.
Well, I would say if you're good after 10 years, the odds of you getting a problem are not are slight, as long as you're staying on the whatever you're doing for the last 10 years has kept you in good health. I would say the odds of all of a sudden in 10 years you having a big problem would be very remote. But 25 years, definitely.
That's good. Probiotics. It says 6 to 8 on the MS Hope site. Can you tell us more about that? I usually take only 1 a day.
Yeah, we did scale it back in the cookbook. I don't know if you've noticed that. In the cookbook, we're recommending 2 to 4. So basically 2, 1 at breakfast, 1 at dinner. You know, because they can be expensive, and it's just that there's no doubt that gut bacteria play a huge role in MS, and so you just somehow want to do everything you can to get that microbiome in the best state of health you possibly can. Now, I think a big factor is fiber, and that's why you recommend all the fruits and vegetables, which give you different kinds of fiber that promote more different kinds of healthy bacteria. So the more variety of the fruits and vegetables you eat, then the better your microbiome. And then if you just have fiber itself, and some the prebiotic stuff too, the inulin, like all these things. Any strategy you have to help create a better microbiome, I think the better it is for you.
What are your thoughts on fermented foods? Do you recommend them? Also, while the diet states to eat eggs in moderation, what does that look like on a weekly intake? My breakfast usually includes 2 eggs and a probiotic yogurt until now.
Well, I think you got some problems there. The probiotic yogurt, if it's a milk product, that's going to be a potential disaster. Now, the good news is you can get coconut yogurts and things like that, which would be good, because I think probiotic foods are good as long as you don't have any allergies, and they work well, like something like sauerkraut, cabbage, which a bunch of probiotics. Good stuff. And eggs, I would say 1 egg a day would be, and that would be that's not even moderation. We said egg every second day, but again, you know, if you really monitor it, I think the big problem with eggs, as long as you haven't got allergies, which many have, is the high saturated fat. They're very high in saturated fat. But if that's your only saturated fat intake, or that's just part of it, you know, so you don't get too much saturated fat elsewhere, then it's probably not too bad.
Are protonics the same as probiotics?
I don't know what. I haven't heard the word protonic before, so I don't know. Maybe is there anybody out there that knows what a protonic is? I know what a proton is, but I don't think that has any relevance here.
Proton.
Have you heard? I can never pronounce this properly. Have you heard of the Combra protocol?
Oh, definitely. I've been following that since it started. I mean, I think it's a bit of a gamble because you really are taking an extremely high amount of vitamin D, which can have some side effects if not well monitored by a doctor with blood tests to make sure your calcium and your various kidney proteins are not being affected. But you know, I'm sort of like the paleo guy, and definitely say 80 to 90,000 IU a day of vitamin D is not paleo, and that's 10 times or more paleo, which I've always thought excesses like that potentially can be a major problem. But if, you know, again, if you can be well monitored by doctors and you want to give it a try, I've seen a lot of anecdotal data that people swear by it, so it would be nice to have a small study, like a proper small study that's done by doctors who really care. And I think that'd be fantastic, because I do worry about side effects, but if you did a study and they didn't have any side effects, well, good.
Also, when eliminating dairy, what are your thoughts on almond milks, coconut oils? Are there certain food you recommend for increasing calcium?
I think there's a lot of calcium in vegetables that you can get most, if not all, your calcium if you eat enough vegetables, broccoli and spinach and these things. I like no problem at all. So the almond milk is fine. And sometimes it has calcium fortified. Coconut oils they're basically 100%, almost 100% saturated fat. So you really got to watch out for that. You don't exceed your saturated fat intake if you're starting to bomb down a bunch of coconut oil. So I'm not too wild about coconut oil. Coconut milk, again, we'll watch the fat content, but some is all right.
Egg whites.
The egg whites are protein, and the protein, the only potential problem with the egg white protein is the allergies, and it's maybe the most common allergy known to man. So you want to make sure if you're going to be eating the egg whites, the egg protein, that you do not have an allergy to them.
Probiotics. How do you pick one? There are so many options to choose from. Could you share a brand?
I have no idea. We just don't have any good science to say this one is better than that one. So I buy mine at Costco.
Yeah.
It's a good price for a very good product. So, but I would hope they might do some science someday. And
I use a different one.
That's fine.
I use the Udo Super Probiotic.
Okay.
You get it at the health food store.
I mean, there's nobody's ever shown there's one that's specific great for MS.
Quinoa.
Quinoa, that's again is a grain that is non-glutinous, so it's allowed, but keep it again like all grains, keep it in moderation.
Do you recommend collagen protein?
There is some data on benefits of it, and I haven't never really looked into the science, so I really can't say. Like, all I can say is for people who want to do something like that, just go online and do your own research to find out what the story is.
Should I eliminate seeds?
No, seeds are generally fine.
How do you compare with Swank and Dr. Walls?
Well, Swank was the first guy, and he just said saturated fat. We want to keep saturated fat down, and we followed that. We keep our saturated fat at about the same Swank levels, 20 grams or lower. I think that's what Swank had. And the Swank said increase the good fats, which we do too. But basically, we just say follow the Paleolithic what the fat was for that kind of ratios, and that's what it was. Now, in terms of Terry Walls, I mean, Terry's got a variety of different diets. Like she followed our best bet diet to gain as much of her health back, but I'll give her full marks. She did improve on it by really increasing the amount of vegetables. We were just saying, well, eat lots of vegetables. Terry was much more specific, saying eat 9 sort of servings of vegetables, and good on her. So she basically, I called it a best bet diet plus, and I think Terry was in a tilt chair, so she really had to, good on her. She did it all. I see now she's really pumping up the keto diet, which I'm not convinced I think that's far better than many other diets, but I far prefer the paleo approach just because it's from a scientific point of view. It's much more easier to say, yeah, this is why it should work. The keto appears to be of great value, but can you maintain it in the long run? Is there going to be deficiencies in various things? Is the high saturated fat going to come back to bite you? I worry about those things. So that's why but Terry did, before she went keto, she was basically paleo plus, which I was 100% behind.
A COVID question. My neurologist has asked me to stay home. We had the lockdown. I've been in isolation for 10 weeks. Our city is relaxing on Monday. When do you think is a safe time for me to go out?
I would say anybody who's following the best bet diet and following all the various supplements and the diet, you are going to, if you get COVID, it's going to be an extremely mild case. I think the people who are getting the bad cases of COVID are people with vitamin D deficiency, no zinc, really bad diets. They say that what really gets your immune system really well tuned is the fruits and vegetables, is the optimum vitamin D, is the selenium and the zinc, and just the probiotics, so you have a really good microbiome. All that says your immune system should be tip top, and if that virus comes knocking, I saw a thing where about 80% of the people who get infected by the virus don't even know they got infected. I would say that would be a person on the best bet diet would most likely have a similar thing.
What is the test for CCSVI, and will insurance cover it?
Well, I have no idea if insurance will cover it. There are various ways to do the test. They do it by mainly ultrasound. That's sort of the standard way, though they can also do a little fancier ones with I forget what it's called, but they really MIVs or
MRV.
whatever. It's sort of magnetic. So I think the ultrasound seems to work it pretty well. I have no idea if insurance covers it. Definitely not in Canada. You can't even get it in Canada. The United States, the only place I think it's available is in Dayton, Ohio. So I think if you really want to get it, you have to talk to your own insurance person, I would assume.
I was diagnosed with RIS. Would you recommend anything aside from the best bet diet?
I'm not sure what RIS is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is either.
Who might want to add that? Can somebody mention who put that in?
It's a radiological isolated symptom.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. Okay, I thought it was some kind of disease. I know what you mean. Yeah, I think this is the good news. Is you're really getting on it really fast, and the sooner you actually hit it with all the good dietary changes and everything, the odds of it causing you a problem become less and less and less. And so the longer you've had MS, the tougher it is to get it back under control. But Terry Walsh showed you can. But if you're just at the RIS stage, when they just find some lesions on your MRI, well, that's about as fast as you're ever going to get diagnosed, and then the odds of the best bet diet not just totally knocking it out are very low.
Is there any info on the strength of probiotics?
I don't know of that. So once again, we just say, well, you want to take 2 for 4 a day. I don't know. I mean, we just don't have the data.
And I think, yeah.
No, you go ahead.
Just from anecdotally over the years, what I've done is I can test my body like a lab if I take more or less of the probiotics and how I feel.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, that's always your best strategy. Try things, see how it feels, try one more, try one less. So you're constantly experimenting on yourself, which is what's better than that.
Is there any info on how best to take all the supplements on the list where they benefit each other rather than counteract each other and fight over the same receptors?
We don't have any data on that. I have to admit, I take all mine in the morning, but that's just because I've got a schedule. It's easy, so I don't forget, and so we don't have any data, and I don't think that would be a problem of when you take them.
I believe I'm going through a relapse. I started doing the diet 3 days ago. Do you have any rough estimate as to when I should start seeing at least some minor improvements? I feel absolutely horrible.
Each person's going to be different, but 3 days is not long enough for it to have an effect. I mean, there's probably that relapse is due to maybe the last 6 months of problematic foods. So I would give it 2 or 3 months, and then I would suspect you should be back to hopefully normal health.
Says, I watch your videos and you exercise a lot. I see that you run, swim, and work out at the gym. Which one do you think is the best, and how much exercise do you do a day? I mean, at the beginning of when I was first diagnosed, I swam. The swimming was the number one, and I swam at least every second day for a couple of years. And then now, 25 years later, I try to break a sweat absolutely every day, and I can exercise up to an hour and a half a day, say 40 minutes in the morning, an hour in the morning plus, and then I will sometimes do a second workout in the evening. But that's a pretty big lifestyle change, and I usually tell people just try to do something at the beginning. And a vigorous exercise, I think, seems to be the key.
I think, as you say, each person's got to find their own exercise level that fits for them. But obviously, the more you can do, the better it'll be.
I was diagnosed a year ago and started on oral medications, Tecfidera, and I'm still on. I eat very clean, but how much damage is the medication doing to my gut while trying to eat clean?
It's hard to know. That those meds aren't great for your microbiome, and that's for sure. Yeah, but it's hard to know. I would hope that the diet would counteract any effects of the meds. And that's always the hardest question. And each person's got to make up their own mind on that, because the last thing we want to do is tell people to get off their meds. That's each personal choice. But I've always said a med by itself is you're really gambling. A med plus the best bet diet, or the best bet diet alone, I would think is much better than a med by itself. But we just always have said, well, the med can be just called one more supplement, albeit having more side effects than your average supplement.
What range in your blood work would you recommend for when it comes to vitamin D? Is it best to be at the high end of the spectrum?
we've always said that you definitely want to be between 120 and 150 is what I do. Now, I think if you have a MS, you might want to be a little higher because you're going to be, vitamin D is going to get, because it's counteracting the immune system. So people with MS tend to have more vitamin D on board just to keep all the immune reactions well controlled. So I think if you're up, yeah, you might want to be at 150, 160, and that's totally safe. That's established beyond a doubt. And so yeah, and so once again, if you take 6, 7, 8,000, you should have no problem with being there.
How much magnesium?
Well, we say about 400 to 500 a day. I take about 450 myself, but yeah, again, you know.
I see ghee. Is that how it's pronounced? Ghee recommended?
I think so.
Yeah. What's your opinion on cooking with it?
Ghee is free of dairy proteins. Now it's totally saturated fat. So it's, as far as the ghee is, it's the saturated fat content that you want to watch. So if you're saying, okay, you want to be below 20 grams of saturated fat a day, so you just keep the ghee in your eggs, and if you eat a steak, or if you eat coconut oil, or just keep track of your saturated fats. And if you can stay under the 20 grams with your ghee, it's not going to be a problem.
What oils would you recommend cooking with?
Well, we've always used olive oil, which is a fairly high smoke point, and so I think you gotta you don't want to go too high because you don't want to screw up the fatty acids. But yeah, I mean, olive oil is your best oil to use for all your fats. There's a lot of good data on that. So if you can use your olive oil, go for it. And we use the extra virgin olive oil, which basically is about the same price. Again, buy it at Costco.
Matt, what do you put in your morning smoothie? That would just be whatever fresh berries we have, banana, either grapefruit juice or some orange juice, and then coconut milk.
Yeah.
That's about right. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Wondering if you could share when last time you had an MRI done. Do you have one regularly or every few years, or not at all? I had an MRI done actually for a problem with my neck, and not multiple sclerosis, about 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah, 3 or 4
years
anyways,
ago.
yeah.
But I don't do regular MRIs at all. I just don't.
Now, as far as I'm going to cut in here, MRIs are mainly for the doctor. But why they want to do them is to scare you into taking the one more bigger drug or another more expensive drug. Like I say, what the best thing is just how you feel, your symptoms. That tells you how you're doing. The MRIs, these things come and go like crazy, and there's no correlation between the amount of what they see on MRIs and your long-term progression. So it's basically a medical thing. They want to do them to scare you.
You seem to recommend vitamin C 1 gram a day. Isn't this going to up our immune system and therefore make our MS worse?
Not really. It just keeps the immune system in a good shape. So it's that you want it to be well balanced. You want to have a tax side to an extent, and you want to have the regulatory side. So that's why you want it all properly balanced. And some vitamin C is you don't want to do too much again. So probably if you're eating lots of fruits, you probably don't need a supplement at all.
How do you feel about, or do you use chiropractic care and acupuncture? I always feel amazing after an Atlas adjustment. Yeah, I
I'll
mean,
let you do that.
again, early at first after my first attack, there was a significant amount of acupuncture was part of the program.
And it worked like a charm. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was very beneficial. And as I've gotten older, chiropractic care has been a major part of what I do. So I have a specialist who does my atlas, and I'm at the point I know when it's out. So I can walk in there and say it's out, and they will adjust me quickly. And then I have another chiropractor who works on my back, both of which have been really fantastic. Anything on? You want to talk about that?
No, I think there's good science there to say the atlases, that you really want things aligned properly. I think that's part of your blood flow from the brain again. You got a lot of veins going down the back there, and you don't want them blocked.
Says Matt, after 25 years, you completely symptom free, or do you occasionally have minor symptoms that don't dramatically affect the quality of life? I mean, I am symptom free. The only thing I do possibly is fatigue, and that's, again, I'm almost 44. I have 2 kids and a busy job, so it's hard to know.
Yeah, I mean, that fatigue is caused by other things besides MS.
And I do, again, I really monitor my body like a lab. Like, I know if I've eaten something. Like, I know the next day, okay, I should not have had that. So, say potatoes for me are one thing that I've eliminated.
Which is great. That's each person has to do their own experimenting. I agree.
Okay. My neurologist wants me to get an MRI every 6 months. If I'm not taking any medication, do you think it is essential?
You know the answer to that, and I'll tell you why he wants you to get it, because then he's hoping he'll find a few lesions. Oh, you got to take this drug. Oh, it's only going to cost you $50,000 a year. And he just happens to be going to Paris with that drug company in 2 weeks from now. So that's you don't need an MRI. End of story.
After starting the diet, how long should I expect to have feeling return to the right side of my body? I've been on the strict plan since January, but still haven't regained any feeling. Also, is there any info to what benefit each supplement has?
Well, I mean, I would hope within 6 months, which is getting there. It sounds like you're on it for about 4 months. So I would hope in a month or two you'd really be starting to feel some benefit. But if you don't, you just do the best you can. And our philosophy is if the best bet diet's not doing the job for you, really have a look at the stem cell, the proper stem cell transplant, which there's no doubt is effective, but it's got potentially really bad side effects. So if the diet works, you want to go there because it's going to be healthy all around. But if the diet isn't working, well, then the other one, yeah.
What do you consider toxic levels for vitamin D?
Well, there's various ones. Like I would say if your blood level's over 300 nanomoles, I'd be very concerned. And I would make sure you're getting tested for your calcium and your other kidney proteins to make sure it's not you're not having any problems. Then the higher it is, the more chances might be causing problems. But people go 200, 250, and they seem to do fine.
What are your thoughts on Pam Bartha's theory that MS is derived from parasites or funguses such as yeast? What do you think of low-dose naltrexone?
Well, first of all, I can assure you that MS is not derived from parasites or fungi. And I think you can have some microbiome problems with some overgrowth of a yeast that can contribute to the MS process by causing more intestinal permeability. Things get through. So it's a major cause, but it can be a contributor, and that's why you want the best microbiome you can, and having an overgrowth of something like yeast is not a healthy microbiome. LDN, there isn't much good data on it. There's a small amount. I've always said it's pretty cheap. It's totally safe. So if you want to give it a try, go for it. There isn't much science on it. I do have a magazine column on the website that I do discuss it, what I think about it and what the science is.
Does marijuana help with MS?
Apparently, there's some studies that have been done say yes, it does help some symptoms, and we did that big those speakers that are on the Direct MS YouTube site, so you can go hear what they have to say. It's got potential.
I got diagnosed 5 weeks ago and they wanted me to get injections, and I was like, no. So I looked up MS online, fell off both your pages, started doing the Best Bet diet, and lost 20 pounds as of today. I also feel like $1 million, so thank you for both, Karen. That's awesome. Keep at it.
Thank you for telling us, because
Yeah.
we always want to hear those success stories, because it just pumps us up.
Okay, do PEMF therapies have any significance?
Where
Right
is
here.
this?
PEMF.
Oh, I have to admit I don't know what PEMF is. Christopher, do you know what PEMF is? PEMF.
Not a clue.
Okay, that's good. Now I feel better that I don't know it.
Okay, cannabis again. What are my chances of progressing to MS if I have had RIS for over 10 years, according to the MRIs?
I would say it's pretty low, but I would still want to be on the Best Bet diet just because obviously something is there that caused it in the first place. And the good news is the Best Bet diet is great for many other things just besides making sure you don't get MS.
The CSF had elevated O bands when it comes to headaches. What do you recommend for treating them?
Where is this?
Right there. O band.
Oh, okay. Those are the ligoclinal bands in the CSF. Okay, yeah, I mean, most people with MS have those. While they're having especially active MS, they're just a bunch of antibodies to various antigens in the CNS. So, you know, it's I think the more you're on the Best Bet diet, then those bands are going to get less and less and less, because you're not going to get the same immune reactions, and they're not going to create all those antibodies.
Do you see a follow-up documentary to Living Proof? We have discussed it, and we have talked about it. And there's also there's significant footage from the first documentary that never made it into the first cut, and obviously we'd want to do a much deeper dive into HSCT and other areas.
All right, we just found out what DPMF is. Okay, yeah, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. There is some data that says that can be of help. I have to admit I haven't looked into it too much, but I think there is a fair amount of good data outlined that you could check it out, and it may well. I think there is some anecdotal data that I've seen that it has been of value for some people, but again, I just encourage you to do your own research on there. That's the internet. That's the great thing. It really allows that, and there are lots of good spots where you can find pretty straightforward stuff on it.
We had another. This is also on Facebook Live at the same time. Someone asked about extreme fatigue. What to do?
I don't have any answers to that. If all you gotta do is just keep working at the Best Bet diet, and then just try and monitor various foods to see if you see any food that you eat, then the next day you feel even more fatigued, then I take that one out. There may be very specific foods that are causing you a problem. That fatigue is often tied into a food reaction. So I would really monitor what you're eating very, very closely compared to your fatigue that you have the following day.
One strategy I do in fatigue or if I've had brain fog, it's been about really serious cardiovascular exercise has been a huge help to that.
Oh, okay.
As well. That's been a big thing for me.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise.
Let's see. Is there anything that the community can do to help us?
Just spread the word. That's the whole idea behind the charity, why we set it up. We just want to get the word out there so people at least have the choice. They're not going to hear about it from the neurologists. They're not going to hear about it from the MS societies. It's just often word of mouth, word on Facebook. I think that's the best thing we can do, all of us.
Botox for tremors.
Don't know. I haven't ever looked into Botox, and that's sort of, I think you just have to do your own research on that.
Chlorophyll water. Have you heard of it?
Chlorophyll water, no. Once again, I haven't ever looked into that, but if it works or it feels, again, check it out. But I don't think it would be a problem, and if it makes you feel better, great.
Sorry, I'm just reading the ones on Facebook. Any thoughts on juicing and juice fasts?
Well, I think fasting, as we discussed, can be of value, but you want to make sure you're getting all your nutrients, like your fats and your things, so don't go overboard. But I think fasting can be of value.
I think that might be it for questions on Facebook. They're coming in a bit too fast for me to figure it out.
Okay. This technology I find a little bit overwhelming, but I think it's great.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us today. I think
there's something just popped up.
Breast implants.
They can cause immune problems. There's no doubt about it. And that some people have actually died from it. Which I don't want to get you worried, but I mean, it's the vast majority no. But it's a possibility that was the final blow that got your immune system overboard. And you didn't have enough immune regulatory stuff on board, and that just added more attack immune stuff, and I don't think it caused MS per se, but it was that maybe the final straw.
Now that summer is here, do you think lowering vitamin D is advisable?
No, especially if you're in Canada. It's really hard to get enough vitamin D unless you're in a bathing suit every day. So, and if you get vitamin D, that's just a bonus from the sun. And the good news is you want to get as much sun because you get more from the sun than just vitamin D. There's other immune regulation stuff that's of value. So I would say take your vitamin D supplement that you do all year, and when the summer is here, that's the only time we do get any of our various good things from the sun. So get as much sun as you can.
Were any clinical trials being funded from the money that Direct MS is raising?
Right now, we just did that one on the mice and the supplements, and we haven't. Then the next big slug of money went to the cookbook, printing it and getting it out there. So we're getting to the stage now. We may have to do a second printing of the cookbook. We've got about 2,500 requests so far, and we only printed 2,950. So we're monitoring that. But I always tell researchers, anybody, if you have a good proposal, please send it in. We are definitely open to funding good trials. Definitely.
Sort of the cookbook. Is it supposed to be? It's the only one that you can only get the cookbook from ordering online, correct?
That's correct, because we just because we wanted to get it out there free, and we didn't know how else to do that. That you can't give it to Amazon and say, please give this to everybody for free. I don't think they would think that would be a very good idea. So this is how we've done it. Now it's going to be slow. That we're just getting out 200, 250 a week. But anybody who has requested it, it will get there, I guarantee. And until it does, I hope the PDF gets you by. That's all I can say.
How do I pronounce that?
Datov's phenomenon. That's if there's just when you get heated up, that your nerve transmission down your axons is slow,
Right.
so you get fungus. So that's if you have a fair amount of damage because you maybe had MS for 10 plus years, and there was a lot of damage of your axons. Then you just gotta hope that your body somehow creates other pathways, but you gotta play it. Some people have these cold suits on, and seems to help, but it can be a problem.
Someone talks about being vigilant on the best bet diet, but still gaining weight. Is that a result of leaky gut?
Too much. So I just back off on, I stay with the same foods, but maybe just don't eat quite as much.
And too much fruit, is that the problem?
Yeah, it can be, because there's a lot of sugars in fruit. So fruit, again, it's there. You want to eat some, but veggies are the main thing. As many veggies as you can eat them. Fruit, just don't eat too much, but eat enough, because there's lots of little chemicals in there that are of the value. Like, I eat a lot of blueberries because I know that really strengthens my blood-brain barrier. And at my age, you want a strong blood-brain barrier, believe me.
Eat ground turkey.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, I mean, again, you want to watch the fat content, but it shouldn't be too bad. But I don't know how you monitor that.
Okay, I think that's it's almost 8 o'clock. It's about 10 to 8 or 7 to 8.
5 days, whatever.
5 to 8. So
well, but anybody wants to say anything, or
yeah, I think you can unmute yourself.
do what?
Yes, thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you, Matt and Ashton. I've talked to you many, many times, especially Matt on Facebook.
Yes, I've seen you post.
Oh, thank you. So it's so nice to see you guys in real time.
Yeah, you too.
And thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you
well,
for
thank
all
you
your
all
help.
for joining in, and you had some really great questions, and those were all really good questions, and they're all, I think many, many, many people have those same questions.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for helping everyone.
No problem.
Being
And what we'll do is we're probably going to try to do something like this maybe every couple months, and then we today was kind of a test to see what would happen, but it looks like we've got some significant audience on Facebook Live too, so I'll give people some more lead time.
I thought this worked far, far better than I ever would have thought. But, so this is good. I learned something. Yeah, this is fabulous.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
it worked.
It worked great.
Awesome. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good to see all those